We have Bill Chismar, the Dean of the Outreach College at University of Manoa. Make that University of Hawaii at Manoa. And we have Jenna Kubota, University of Hawaii at Manoa. And you are the Assistant Director of Summer Sessions. Very exciting.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Did you guys see my article about MOOCs?
Yes, we did see the article. And a number of people
I
sent
was
it
pointing directly
to me.
to you.
I actually appreciate that because we've been working on that the past year.
Good, good, good.
So it helps enforce some of the things I've been saying to the deans and the chancellor.
Good.
So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, I had another idea I want to share with you now before we go too much further with that, and that's my idea about a tracking course. I'm going to tell you what I mean by a tracking course. You know, like they have tracking stock and all that, where the stock tracks another stock.
Yeah.
Well, just suppose, you create a tracking course at the Outreach College, and the course tracks a MOOC, any MOOC, from Stanford, MIT, Harvard, whatever you like, okay? And this course meets on Wednesday. That's because the MOOC course meets or gives a lecture on Monday. So on Wednesday, there's time for exercises, there's time for homework, there's time for, you know, network discussion among the students all over the world on this MOOC. And now Outreach College offers a tracking course on Wednesday where they can come in, talk about the course, what's been going on, get real, get personal, get, you know, brick and mortar about this course, and you discuss the subject matter of the course. And if you could structure that so to give credit for the combination of the MOOC and the tracking course, you'd have a pretty good course, wouldn't you? People would be interested. 95% of the people who take MOOCs now don't finish them for one reason or another. Okay, and I think a big reason is that they don't have the social engagement that people like to have when they're taking courses, so they can't stick to it.
Right.
You know, but if you gave them a tracking course, they would stick to it, especially if the tracking course were for credit. You know,
with an instructor in the classroom here, working with them.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So you get, you know, the best that Harvard or Stanford or Yale can offer, okay, plus you're offering them the touchy-feely aspect of it, and maybe a grade and credit and whatever you can in order to sort of make the two halves meet. But the result is a very good course and an incentive to finish it.
Oh, that's a very interesting idea. We'll have to start thinking about that.
I'll be happy to talk to you about it anytime.
Oh, okay.
So tell us about Science in Action. We are very excited about any program involving science. So this is Science in Action. It sounds like it's something really important for Outreach College.
Yeah, one of our initiatives at Outreach College is to take the knowledge and wealth that's at UH Manoa and use it to benefit the community. And so for a number of years we've been allowing high school students to take credit courses in the summertime at UH. And we been getting about 100 students a year take this. But what we wanted to do was really give high school students an opportunity to see what science research in particular is like at a major research university. And so we started this program, planning this program last year. And we went across the campus and talked to the various schools and departments to find partners in this program. And we were very fortunate to get some of the best programs at Manoa agreeing to participate with this in the summertime.
So you're bringing the disciplines in and you're focusing them through outreach and you're making them available to the public that way.
Right, so it's a partnership. The departments provide the expertise, the locations, and actually run the courses. And then Outreach College packages them up as a program, the Science in Action program, does all of the promotion, all of the logistics for the course. And hopefully this will be very successful.
Oh, it sounds great. You know, I remember, not that it's the same thing, I remember back in the early 2000s, somebody organized, it wasn't Outreach College, but somebody organized a Meet the Scientist program, okay, downtown here. And they did it at one of the law firms, because a lot of lawyers were involved. And I remember Sung Choi out of the School of Engineering came down. He was the first one. And what they did is they talked to a room full of people who were interested in knowing what kind of science was going on at the university. And there was a certain level of interest. But like so many programs, and we should talk about this, there's so many programs that petered out for the lack of something, I don't know what. Je ne sais quoi pas. It petered out. So we can't have that now. This must be sustainable, right?
Right.
What are you doing to make it sustainable?
Well, we looked at various options for high school programs, from credit programs to seminars. And the credit programs are nice, but it hits a small percentage of the really high achievers in high school come and take university credit. Seminars and lectures are sort of nice, but they're a little bit boring and not enough information there. So the idea here is a non-credit course. They run over 1 week or 2 weeks. So they're intensive and they're hands-on.
Is it every day?
Yes, it's every day. The 2-week courses are every day for a half day. The 1-week courses are all day for a week.
What venues?
We have the medical diagnosis treatment program that'll be at the medical school. So that's for 1 week. The students are at the medical school. They'll get their white coats and stethoscopes and basically do what
that's great.
The medical students
they all
do.
Want to go to medical school after that.
Exactly. The marine microbial oceanography one is through Seymour, the Center for Microbial Oceanography Research and Education. So it'll be at their center on the campus. They will be also going down to the Waikiki Aquarium to get wet. So
This is
they'll be
great. This sounds
collecting
terrific.
stuff. The field botany course is exploring Hawaii wetlands. So they'll be in Manoa primarily doing collection, getting muddy. The math course is on campus at Manoa with the math department there. And then the marine science course is over on Coconut Island. So it's a week on Coconut Island.
This is really a look into the inside of the university, into the best parts of the university. No kidding.
So the instructors, we've been talking to them and working with them, are going to sort of minimize the lecturing of material. It's all hands-on, so it's going out, collecting samples, and then bringing them back to the lab, doing analysis in the lab, including statistical analysis and data analysis.
So have you selected, in the case of the MOOC now, not to make the comparison, to over-make the comparison, but, you're going to select only teachers who can connect with students. Have you carefully selected the instructors here?
We went through working with the colleges. One of our criteria was that we wanted people who have worked with students before. So
not just straight research. Yeah.
Right. Work with students, in particular work with younger students.
Yeah.
So the marine science one, HIMB has been running programs for middle schools and high school kids for a long time. They have done that. The math department has had a program funded by NSF.
National Science Foundation.
The National Science Foundation, right. To
We knew that. Thank you. Jenna. They all knew that, yeah. They should have known that.
So it's a Super M program is what it's called, that they've been running for a while. So they have fellows that are graduate students have been working under this grant with students. So they have a lot of experience.
How much supervision are you going to apply, you and Jenna? Are you going to be, trying to structure their lectures for them or their style?
No, our only involvement in the content is really from a presentation purpose. So we sit down with them and say, how are you going to do this? So if they come back and say, well, we're going to spend the first 3 hours giving them a lecture.
You're going to say
then
no.
we say no.
I can't do that.
So our only involvement in the content is really making sure that it's very hands-on, experiential learning.
Can you give us some samples of who of the instructors, what they're like in their bios? You got any lists?
Oh, do we have the list? Jenna has been talking to you.
Yeah, I've been in contact with them. Let me see, who might I say? Mike Andonian is the project coordinator for the Super M project.
What is the Super M?
The Department of Mathematics, that program founded by National Science Foundation. So he is overseeing graduate assistants who are fellows in the program. And those graduate assistants, along with Mike, will be taking turns teaching the various days of our math class.
You'll be watching.
I will be
You're going to
attending.
be auditing in the back row, making notes. I know you will.
Yes, I'm looking forward to getting to attend these classes, because obviously the material is going to be great.
Yeah.
But also just to be some support that they might need if a student is sick or late or that kind of thing.
How big the classes?
We have limited the classes to about 20 students.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So they'll have the opportunity to ask questions and make comments and have that kind of engagement that incentivizes people to get deeper into the subject.
And for the hands-on, really activity-based learning that we wanted to have a smaller class size.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
The only one that's a bit larger is the medical school one. They've agreed to take up to 60 because they have been doing this before. And they know how to run these, and they have lots of help. So they're committing medical students and faculty to running the program if we get up to 60 students.
Oh, this is going to be great, I tell you. This hasn't been done before, has it? This is the first time. Huh?
This is the first time Outreach College has done it. As I mentioned, the medical school has done a similar program on a very limited basis.
I mean, on an across-the-board basis, where you take, a program in this school and that school and this school, and you bundle them together, and
Right,
then you
this
put
is
them
the
in
first time.
one container like this. So is it no? So if I'm a pre-college kid, then I'm signing up for a number of them, or one by one?
It's a la carte. So you can sign up for one, you can sign up for two, you can sign up for four. We tried to schedule them so that people can sign up for multiple ones across the time period, which is June 10th through July 19th.
So, gee, that's 1 month. So how many can I take without having a complete mental breakdown?
Well, one of the things about non-credit courses is that we really wanted students to sort of discover their passion, as our chancellor likes to say, for science. And so we wanted to take away, we wanted to take away the pressure of having homework to do all the time and worried about grades. And two, we wanted to open it up to everybody. So there is no entrance exam or requirements. So we will take students, high school students, who are on first come, first served basis
Well, I
until
think
the
you're going to
class is
find
fit
a
up.
lot of students are interested, especially when you talk to the science professors in the schools. I mean, we've done some work with the science fair and the Hawaii Academy of Science, and I can tell you there's a lot of kids out there through that channel. You ought to go through that channel, at least in part.
Yes.
There are how many thousands of kids who apply to the science fair, and they're passionate about science. It's their whole life. During the school year, that's all they care about. They identify, their persona is built around science. These kids would come down in droves. Anyway,
we're hoping, we talked to some of them. One of the topics that was recommended that we weren't able to fit in was robotics. They said that they thought robotics would be very popular.
It would be, but you know what? They got plenty of robotics in the robotics program. That's my feeling.
Yeah.
Robotics too easy. I think you want to do this kind of stuff.
Right,
So-
and talking to the high school teachers and principals early on in the planning for this, one of the things was, what can we do for students that they can't get anywhere else?
Right.
And
That's
access to a medical school, access to microbial oceanography research, they can't get anywhere else. And so we think that the set that we have here is very unique to
So
the university.
The prices now are not all the same. It looks like, they're the same except, well, they're not all the same. Why are they different?
The two of them that are different are the medical school and the marine sciences one. And that's because of higher cost of running the program.
Your costs. I mean, this is all through your budget, so to speak.
Right. And so running the program on Coconut Island involves logistics of getting people there across the boat and supplies and
Lunch.
And the medical school is a similar issue with the expense of the supplies and facilities at the medical school.
But you have substantial discounts. I mean, you got the original price is struck off, and then there's another price, which is substantially less. What's that about?
We priced the program so that we were basically breaking even on the program, what we thought was a reasonable price for it. And then as the initial year for the program, we really wanted to get people to sign up, and we didn't want the price to be an issue. So we've managed to pull together some funding to subsidize the cost. And originally we thought about doing full scholarships for a number of students.
Will you?
Not at this point. We had decided then to take the funding and just reduce the cost of everything.
Spread it over.
Spread it over so that everybody gets a break.
That's very democratic of you, Bill. I really think that's a great idea, actually.
Oh.
You know, the idea, I mean, this goes back to at least my discussions with Tom Apple early on, you know, is to reach the community, do a benefit for the community, get the community excited about the university and about education, lifelong education, and make it, you know, like a second home for people, you know.
Right.
That's what you're doing. It's great.
And that's one of our jobs as Outreach College is the summertime on campus. So summer at Manoa should be a vibrant, exciting place.
Yeah.
And we're hoping that this program will contribute to that.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'd like to come and take some tape of it, if Jenna will let me. It should be in the back of the class.
Yes.
Yes, Jenna will be in charge of every class, so just talk to her. I'm sure she'll let you in.
Okay. Now, they're not all at the same time. So I guess you did that purposely so that a person could go from one to the other and take a whole array of them and take what amounts to a science in action. I hate to use the word degree, but it's kind of a summer degree. Do I get a certificate if I go through all these classes?
Yes, we'll give certificates for each of the classes to everybody who completes the class.
Do I get credit?
No, no credit.
Could you negotiate?
We negotiate. Well, one of the issues that we have, well, we do have the credit program, and they can take a credit marine biology course, a 3-credit course, which would run over 6 weeks in the summertime. But then you have to pay UH tuition for that.
Which is so, how much more? I really don't have any idea these days. It's like an elusive number. Well, what is university tuition?
Tuition
like?
is roughly $1,000, $1,000 to $1,100
per course.
3-credit course. Yes.
Okay.
And in the summertime, it's a 6-week commitment. And again, our objective here was really to spur a lot of interest in science among high school kids. And so we thought 6 weeks was way too long and probably too expensive.
Now they got to have this summer too, you know. They got to go to the beach and whatnot.
Right.
All those things. Well, you know, it strikes me that this is only the beginning. Am I right about that? I mean, this is, you know, sort of first blush, nicely formed, nicely packaged kind of program, but it signifies to me that if this works, and I shouldn't knock on the table, but science says don't pound the table, then here I am. Anyway, if this works the way you want it to, this is only a beginning, right? What is the next chapter if this works?
Well, the overall program is our summer pre-college program for high school students. Science in Action is our first implementation of that. So we have several directions we will go. One is that we will greatly expand the Science in Action program if it proves successful. And we've had a number of potential donors for scholarships say, well, run it and let us see if you can actually do it and it's popular. And if it is, then we may put up some money for scholarships, so then we can start going back to what we would like to have, or some full scholarships for students.
So you could have scholarships on both levels. You could have the democratic scholarships that apply across the board, so you know, more people can take it at a cheaper price, but also some people can take it at free.
Right.
That's great.
And that would be up to the donor. The donor would prefer to have some students who can't pay anything participate in the program. Then we can fund full scholarships for individual students, or for groups of students we can reduce the cost.
Okay, well, let's talk about this. So suppose I want to sponsor a scholarship. Yeah. Suppose ThinkTech Hawaii wants to sponsor a scholarship. Am I limited to a certain number of people, or can I just sponsor one seat in one class?
Yes. So the courses that are a few $100s, for a few $100s, you can say, I would like to sponsor one student.
And then what I do is I write a check for the amount that it would cost him or her to go to this class.
Yes.
That's my scholarship.
And that would be the
scholarship.
scholarship.
So that's easy. And that's tax deductible because it's to the university.
Right. As long as you don't pick the student.
Oh, no.
If you pick the student, then the IRS wouldn't consider that a gift.
It would be unfair.
So
I mean, how could I possibly do that? It'd be awful.
So we can take, yes, we can take gifts in small amounts. So, you know, $1,000 would sponsor 3 students at some of these programs.
That's great. So you know what I'm thinking, actually, Bill? I mean, to me, Hawaii does not invest enough in itself. This is an opportunity to invest in itself for relatively cheap money. Which is, it doesn't cost much. And we could call it the Jay Fidell Scholarship. What do you think about that?
Yes, you can do that. We'd be happy to take your money to do that.
You know, I'm surprised at how much interest there already is with the limited marketing that we've done at this point. But I did have a mother call in and say, we're really interested. My daughter wants to take the medical diagnosis and treatment. Even with this. The price tag of $475 per week is too high for their family. So please contact her if there are any full scholarships like the one you're talking about. So it'd be great if we had some of that funds.
Well, I think you'll find a lot. I think there's a pent-up demand. I'm not sure why. I do know why. It's just that there has been no vehicle where the ordinary Joe, the ordinary J.M. Fidell, could have a J.M. Fidell scholarship. It's just too hard to put it together. But if it's easy, then I think there's a lot of pent-up demand that will come out, and you'll find people will do that. You mentioned that you're negotiating with some potential scholarship donors. I mean, are they local?
Yes, they are local donors. But one of the interesting things about this program is that we put the website up 2 weeks ago. And the first inquiry was from a mother of 2 students who are Italian, going to high school in Denmark.
Belgium.
Belgium, sorry. Belgium. That's close.
It's all Greek to me.
So they were the first inquiry, and they want to come to the program.
They here?
No, they're in Belgium right now.
They're going to come from Belgium
They're going to come from Belgium.
Because this is a personal thing. You got to be here to do this.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
Wow. Summer school. That's great.
So we've had how many students so far express interest in coming?
We have 24 students submit an application form. And a little more than half of them are Hawaii students. But our Hawaii kids are going to get to mix with students from the mainland and other countries.
Oh, so everybody wins.
Yeah.
We get to meet each other and find out which beaches are good and all that stuff.
So we already have a nice mix of students from different backgrounds coming from different places. But also, one of the unique things about this program is it's open to students in grades 9 through 12. So the students will be mixing age-wise and experience-wise in these fields. I had another call from a parent, and she said, we're interested in the math class. Does it matter what level of mathematics my son is at?
Good question.
Yes. And these classes are for students in high school. If they're at the high school level, they can come in. They don't have to have a certain level of knowledge in botany or mathematics. The activities are going to be able to engage them regardless of the level that they're in. So they can be in a 9th grade math class or just graduating high school with their math requirements and still get very engaged in the activities planned.
Oh, gee, this could really turn into something. I've always wondered, for example, I grew up on the East Coast and I went to summer camp. Did you do that?
No, I didn't.
Okay, summer camp was the best time of the year for me. They didn't have a lot of summer camps in Hawaii. They had a couple, but it wasn't what everybody did. When I grew up in New York, everybody went to summer camp, everybody. So, summer needs structure. You got to do something worthwhile in the summertime. Summer camp was that. This would be that. This is kind of like science camp.
Right. In fact,
that's what it is.
And back to your question of how this is going to expand.
Yeah.
We are looking at resident programs. So exactly that. Science summer. So it'd be a week or 2 week in residence.
In the dormitories.
In the dormitories at UH. And so the students would really get immersed in this and it'd be a full experience for them.
And if they did that, they would take all the classes and focus on it all the time, or at least they take
a number of classes. Yes, so they can take a couple of different classes, maybe morning and afternoon class, and take 2 or maybe 3 different classes. And so we didn't do that this year because of the complexities of trying to do this, and we're not sure what the demand is going to be like for this.
Yeah.
The other direction for expanding it, since it's a summer pre-college program, is to expand it to other areas outside of science. So possibly in the arts, for instance.
Sure.
and run programs, similar sorts of programs.
Sure.
In
but then you would
areas.
still, it would be discrete. You know, science over here, the arts over there. And
Right.
so it's not just one conglomeration. You still have an identifiable group of courses in
Right,
science.
yes.
And I can, if I want to focus on science, then I'll just do the science courses.
Yes,
kind of
exactly.
thing.
Yes.
This is, whose idea was this? Was this Jenna's idea?
All Bill.
Nice job, Bill.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you. Now, I've been in Outreach College for 2 years now, looking for ways of really expanding programs to help the community.
Well, I think that's the new view of the university, certainly the chancellor. And this is a great step forward for it. And you can't hardly lose. I think you're going to see huge demand. I'd like to check back with you on this. See how it, see how the registrations go, see how the program goes. I like to be there in the classroom with my camera. I was thinking, well, do you want to tape the whole thing? Probably not, but a little piece of it,
Yeah. And the kids actually getting in the ocean, collecting samples, and back in the lab analyzing the samples.
Good to
would be
promote
good.
it and all that. This is a whole new face on the university, is what it appeals to me. I mean, everybody in the community would see it, and you don't know exactly what kind of effect that would have. I mean, I've always felt, or at least in my years of consciousness, in the last, say, dozen years on this subject, I felt that the public didn't know about science. They didn't know what was happening at the university. They didn't know what was happening in the world. And they didn't know that you could, that Hawaii kids could actually make a name for themselves in science.
Right.
And still that's the case today. Hopefully this could change that.
Yeah, and again, we want to get past the idea that a science class is working hard to get a grade, to really showing the kids that they can have fun doing this, and that the fun is in the intellectual stimulation of doing this, and that they can actually do it. So kids that don't think they could ever make it through a university science program and get a PhD, or make it through medical school, we're hoping that a 1 or 2 week experience will allow them to gain a bit of confidence that now it's an option in their future.
You're going to have projects like the MOOCs courses, not to go back to that, but the MOOCs courses frequently have group projects. I mean, there might be, 50, 100, 200,000 people in a MOOCs course. I'm not kidding. But a small subset, maybe we'll do a project, or maybe a large subset. But projects are part of it. Exercises, projects, and ultimately, in some of the courses, not all of them, there's a test. How are you going to run on that track? Are you going to have exercises? Are you going to have homework? Are you going to have projects? Are you going to have tests? I know it's not a credit course, but still these things are possible.
Jenna has been talking to the instructors, and I know some of them have talked about having the projects put together as like a poster session, and then possibly inviting parents after the class is over to a poster session with the research that the students did in the class.
That's great. A little science fair.
In all of these classes, the students will have group activities, but the one that Bill's mentioning is the botany class. Their 2-week class will culminate in a poster session on the last day.
What's a poster session?
The students will be conducting research on their botany. They're going to get water samples from the Manoa Stream, and the Hawaiian School of Knowledge has a lo'i patch, the taro patch. So they're going to try to collect water from there. Also, the Southeast Seashore, there's a field trip. So the students will be collecting samples, doing analysis on their samples, and they will present their research and the results on a poster. And they will be presenting their posters to parents, and the botany department faculty will be invited as well. So this will be the last day of the 2-week course.
Gee, I wonder if there's a possibility to connect this up with the science fair. Well, unfortunately, the science fair doesn't happen until like April. So you get a whole hiatus between the summer and April.
Well, presumably the students who work on projects here
We'll
could then continue on and maybe refine the project and do it as part of their science project.
Sure, and I mean, and you can say that much too, and before you know it, you'll have them involved in a very, very deep involvement in that project, and they'll be starting early, so they'll have an advantage for the science fair. It'll be terrific. It'll be a sort of a ramp up to the science fair. I like that idea.
And one of the things that they mentioned at the Center for Microbial Oceanography is that there are 4 basic ways of doing microbial oceanography, from field work at one end. The other end is working on large data sets. And they will make these data sets available to the students that they can use after they're done with the program. The students who went through the program will have access to these data sets afterwards. So if they wanted to do a very elaborate science project analyzing data from real-life oceanographic data, that might be an option.
That's great, because that's what so often happens in these science fair projects. They're just working with somebody else's data and putting a new overlay on it, a new evaluation on it. But it's either government data or academic data that they haven't accumulated, but they use to discover new lessons. Huh?
Right. That's what big science is about nowadays. It's not one person running a little experiment in a lab. It's teams of people working with very large data sets that have been gathered from around the world. Yeah. So that's a fantastic experience for them to do that, because that's the way it's going to be for them later if they go into science. It's a sort of a mini scientific experiment right there for those kids. Is Dave Carl involved in this at all? He's talk about microbial, marine microbial. That's his, and he's a member of the National Academy of Science. No, I don't think we've talked to him.
Okay, no. Well, I'm sure you will.
He probably knows about it, though.
Yeah, well, it sounds like the whole university knows about it. Did you have problems recruiting your faculty, or did they come willingly? Or did they come for money?
No, they came very willingly. We had some that we talked to that were interested in it, but didn't have experience with younger kids. And so we had decided that, that was too risky early on. So we interviewed the various faculty and departments and found the ones that we thought had the largest advantage of having worked with students, so being successful, and then 2 that were of interesting topics. And again, we'll expand it once we get the experience from the first year. Yeah.
So but you're actually paying them. I mean, that's part of the cost.
Yes.
So that they make extra money in addition to whatever they're making by virtue of their existing position.
Yes, in some of the cases. But yeah, typically in running courses, whether they're credit or non-credit, the single base expense is the salaries for the instructors.
Well, I'm sure this would be very gratifying because it's voluntary, so that these kids are really motivated, and it's from various places in the world, so it becomes interesting to see them work together. If I were on the faculty, who knows? Maybe it's not too late. If I were on the faculty, then I would be very interested in doing this. So this is a long way from the business school, Bill.
Oh, yes, it is.
What is the journey like?
Well, I was the Associate Dean of Academic Affairs in the Schuyler College of Business when the position of Dean became open in Outreach College. And so I was asked by the Vice Chancellor, called into his office and asked if I would be interested in taking it over for a limited time to try to analyze the business end of it, which fits in with my business background, and then also try to figure out what exactly Outreach College could be doing to benefit the university and the community. And so it was a fun opportunity, and I said yes. I said I would do it for 2 years, and my 2 years are up, and I'm still doing it.
Okay, and you have no intention of not doing it.
No, and because things like this is just a lot of fun to work on, and being able to help the students and see the students is going to be even more fun.
Oh yeah, and let
to
me
see the impact on the students.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like there's, with Outreach College, almost by definition, there's a certain amount, I hesitate to use this word, but there's a certain amount of autonomy. In other words, you're not in the regular grid of the university. You have a certain amount of freedom.
Right. And that's the reason that units like that exist at universities. It's to have innovation in academic programs and innovation in programs to, again, use the resources and expertise of the university to benefit the communities.
Yes.
In particular, the summertime. So in the summertime in the credit programs, we have over 100 different schedules of classes. So we can work with faculty and say, you know, what do you want to experiment with? And we can experiment with it.
Well, it's so important in our, I do have comments about that I'd like to make to you. But Jenna, where did you come from? Don't say microbiology.
Before I started with Outreach College in August, I was working as a graduate assistant. So I'm working towards a master's in educational foundations.
Oh, well, it's all about education, isn't it? And this is a perfect, you know, laboratory, if you will, for education, because these are not matriculated students. It's something different, so you have different considerations. And you have to engage them, or they walk.
And Jenna's position is a new position. We created position specifically to support this program and other programs like that.
Well, what I was going to say is that Hawaii, for some reason, I mean, see if you disagree, just tell me. But for some reason, Hawaii has not been focused on lifelong learning. You know, if you look, for example, at the federal government, you find that the federal government offers and requires courses of all kinds for everybody working in the federal government. You know, there's courses hither and yon. You travel to the courses. The courses are really first class, many of them. I mean, just for example, I filmed a course given by the Department of Energy to firefighters on how to handle hydrogen fires in vehicles. And they go around the country teaching that. I mean, education is so important in the federal government. And when I was in the federal government, it was like that. Okay, but if you look in state government in Hawaii, not so much. City government, not so much, if anything. And so the culture is really not around lifetime learning. I mean, as a citizen, not a student. If you're a student or a member of the faculty at a university, it's different. But as a member of the community in a given company, you know, the general culture will be, if you want to get educated, that's your business, not ours. We don't care. We don't encourage you. We don't give you incentives. In the late 90s, there was a program called ETF, the Education and Training Fund, where every man, woman, and child in the state got a $5,000 lifelong allowance to spend on extracurricular courses. And you could spend it anywhere you wanted. And when you were, you know, used up, that was the end of that. But $5,000 is not bad to give you a boost in your lifelong education. It failed. They failed to fund it. It just went away little by little over the 3 years or so after it was adopted.
That's why I never heard of it, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
It was a quiet submersion. And it was an example of the culture I'm talking about. Now, what you guys are doing is you're opening a huge door to the possibility of lifelong learning in this community. One of the best things the university can do, and Tom Apple is all over that issue, you can give enormous benefit to the community in general. The problem is you're running uphill against that culture. Yeah. And you got to do a lot of promotion like this today.
Yes, thank you for this. Now we do have programs, non-credit programs, as part of the college, and I know you're familiar with the ones for the Pacific New Media. So we run those, and then
we're effectively a partnership with them. They help us on things. We help them on things a long time already.
So we run those courses. We have other courses for professional development and personal enrichment courses. And it's a challenge. The professional development courses, non-credit courses, work well in professions that require continuing education. So whether it's in education or nursing or wherever, they require it. The personal enrichment ones have been tough. I mean, we offer the courses, but as labor costs go up and costs of instructors go up, people aren't willing to pay a lot. And it's very hard to get a lot of those courses running, to get enough students in them to get them to run.
It's funny, if the legislature was of a mind to reinvent the Education and Training Fund, the ETF, you'd be a primary place for that to work. Yeah. It's very interesting. It would be the resurrection of the idea that never really got off the ground before.
So the pre-college program is the opposite end of that, you know, is to get the younger kids in there, and a possible extension. We've had people ask about moving it down to middle school, they're saying, well, you really need to get the kids interested in middle school. So in the future, we may expand
that's a great chapter
down
also.
to middle school.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of parents already try to get their 8th graders into the program.
Well, those are the achiever parents. Yeah. They want their kids to go to Yale.
Are you sure my son can't come into your program? He's in the 8th grade.
So take it as an indicator.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
It means there's a market out there.
There's definitely a demand for these classes,
Yeah.
It's
So
exciting.
you were talking, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying, following up on that, and your comment is that college admissions drive this a lot too. Kids are looking for things to put on their resumes. And so it's, collecting badges. So you do these things just so you can get them on there.
So they'll have a certificate. Will they have a grade? Will they have some qualitative expression of how well they did or how good their participation was?
They will get individual feedback from the instructors, but we are not going to give any written grade or evaluation.
Okay.
Because, again, we really want to get kids interested and not worried about a grade.
But that kid, correct me if I'm wrong, but that kid, assume that kid is a junior or senior in high school, be free to go to that instructor and say, I need a letter for my application. What do you think? And if you gave him a letter, then the application would be that much more robust.
And then those juniors and seniors can come and take credit courses. So if they're really interested in marine science as a 9th or 10th grader, then they can come and take a 3-credit course in marine science over the summertime as part of our Summer Scholars Program.
So how can we promote this, boys and girls? How can we make everyone aware of this? I mean, I'm going to play this on Olelo. You guys have to sign up. And
Jenna has been going around and visiting the high schools in the state.
Idea.
So
good idea.
She's been visiting the high school. When we're done here, I will be signing letters to all of the principals of the high schools in Hawaii to send them to remind them. So we've been doing it primarily through the high schools, personal connections with the high schools.
I'm reminded of the LLM program at the law school, which is what happens is the LLM students come from all over the world. I mean, all over the world. I mean, you can't name a country they haven't come from. And the common denominator is they speak English, some of them better than others. And they come and they take classes that are in the undergraduate law school, right? It's an LLM, but it's international LLM. It's based on classes that are regular classes in the law school. I don't recall that they take exams or get grades. They might, but the point is that they get to know each other, they get to know the American system, they get to know the law school, and they get a degree. They must take grades in order to get a degree, and they pay. And it's a great thing for the law school because it gives the law school that much more depth. But it also gives these kids the ability to come here, see Hawaii, learn about Hawaii law. And so in a way, if you went, for example, in Chapter 2 to China, I think you'd find an enormous number of kids, families that wanted to send their kids to a program like this and could afford to do that. So get those dormitory rooms ready.
That's actually an issue for us because we realize that there's a big market for that. That if we added a resident component onto this, that there'd be lots of international and U.S. mainland students wanting to come here. And the question is, do we want to do that, or do we really want to serve Hawaii community?
A good point.
Because we could price it much higher for an international market than for the local market.
Kamaina rates.
Yeah, right. We do Kamaina rates. But we need to be careful about maintaining a mix of students in there because, again, our primary responsibility is to the people of Hawaii, not to the international market.
And that's consistent with university policy for sure.
Yeah.
So, but this hasn't happened before, has it? I mean, not at. You mentioned at the medical school, but in general at the university, really hasn't happened before. This is a brand new idea.
No, not here.
Yeah.
As much as there's a demand, maybe in China, I think I hope there's going to be a demand locally, because like you're saying, this hasn't really happened before. The university resources are really being made available to Hawaii's high school students. And to be a high school student and say that you've taken a class, whether it's credit or non-credit, these students will come away from this program taking a class at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. And I think when you're in the high school and you're thinking about college, this will make, that big jump to the college life a little bit easier. That transition will be a little bit less scary because they've taken the class and they've been in that environment.
That's true, and they've been in the campus. They've seen how it works. They've seen how the lecture is delivered. Maybe hopefully they've been engaged, in a Q&A with the teacher. Are they going to use Socratic method or a straight lecture? What's it going to be?
Well, in the medical program, for instance, they're going to do medical diagnosis. Mm-hmm. So they will be in the large hall, and the instructor will get up there. We have a 43-year-old male with these symptoms and stuff.
This is out of television. It's out of house.
Right. Yes. And then they will start doing the research on how to do diagnosis. They'll start doing taking vital signs of patients, working with mannequins also, and then it's going to culminate where they're going to sit down with a patient, one-on-one.
Ooh, a real patient.
Well, I mean, a real person.
They have patients at the medical school who are
actors.
The actors. Thank you. I was trying to find the right word. Who have a set of problems that are fictitious, and they answer questions that are fictitious answers.
And green makeup to make them look like pallor. Okay.
All the symptoms. I've done movies at the medical school. It's really very funny how they deceive the students.
So they will do that, and the idea is, and they will be videotaped, and then they will be discussed. And the idea is to really give the students the experience.
Yes.
What is it to actually have to talk to somebody?
Yes.
If you're a 16-year-old and you have to sit down and talk to an adult about some medical problem, just being able to do that will give them an amazing sense of accomplishment.
It will. It'll make them feel like a medical student and in a small way, a doctor.
Yeah.
That's the aha moment when you actually get to talk to a patient, even if he's an actor.
Yeah. And we're expecting these students are going to go home after each day and start taking vital signs of their parents and aunties and uncles.
Mom, you look a little flush. Can I examine you, please? Well, that's going to be very popular, I'm sure of that one, because it's in the medical school. The medical school is so medical.
Yeah.
It is really a beautiful place.
And now the medical school takes freshmen admits.
What is that?
The medical school now has freshman admit program.
Oh.
So students who are admitted as freshmen to the University of Hawaii can also apply to the medical school and will get conditionally admitted to the medical school at the same time, assuming that they go through their undergraduate career and
so it's a combined degree kind
yes.
of thing. It's a continuous combined degree.
Yeah.
That's great. Gee, it's not too late for us, Bill. Jenna?
Well, maybe not for Jenna. Yeah, us, it may be too late.
Well, I'm really impressed with this program, and I would like to help you as much as I can. So you have to come back, and we have to talk about it some more. And I'd like to take some footage. You tell me when would be a good idea.
Yeah.
But I also I would like maybe we can not examine. That sounds so legal. We can interview some of your teachers and see what their concept is, and sort of get warmed up on what their course outlines, what they would discuss, and their techniques on how they would handle it, and all that would be, I think, very interesting for anybody who wanted to do this. So
so we're taking applications now, and we'll keep you up to date on how the classes are filling up.
Okay.
Because with small classes of 20 students, they may fill up quickly.
Yeah, so if I wanted to look this up and find out more about it, I see we have on this flyer, we have Jenna's contacts, komatsu@hawaii.edu.
It's
you don't mind if I say that?
Komatsu
J, thank you.
at hawaii.edu.
Uh-huh.
And the easiest place is the website, which is summer.hawaii.edu.
Okay, summer.hawaii.edu.
And you can find all the information there.
Closing remarks that you want them to remember and understand?
Yeah, I guess we would like to have your help in getting this program, Science in Action, known to the local community and the high school kids and their parents and teachers, so that we can expand this program, have a successful year this year, then really expand it next year to the benefit of the students in Hawaii.
Jenna?
Well said. Well done.
Give them your piece now.
I think it's just a great opportunity for Hawaii's high school students, and it's just a matter of getting the word out so that these students can sign up for this program and take advantage of what we're offering.
This whole program is a ripe pomegranate. There's all kinds of good stuff inside, and it's going to have a huge effect on the possibility of lifelong learning. So no matter what happens in the first semester, the first summer, you got to keep going, and you got to make sure the word gets out. And I think people will catch on. This will change the culture in Hawaii. That's what I think. Congratulations to you for doing it.
Thank you very much, Jay.
Thank you,
And
Bill.
thank you for having us on your show.
Thank you.
Jenna, good for you guys. Aloha.
Aloha.
Aloha.